Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Chris Captures and I'm on my computer right now and I'm going to be doing a tier list for the One Piece arcs. Now obviously I haven't finished or caught up to date with One Piece yet, so I'm going to just do the ones that I've read so far. Maybe we could revisit this in the future and see whether my standards have changed, or we could just finish the list once I am up to date. And this is actually broken down quite minutely. Like, it's not just East Blue. Like, East Blue is completely separated down and you've got like Post-Enies lobby and stuff like that. So let's start by, I'm just going to put all the ones that I've not read yet into not read, so let's get into it. So like you can see from this list, the latest one on here is Wano Country, which obviously after that would be Egghead Island, but I'm not even up to Wano Country yet, so that doesn't matter that Egghead Island isn't on here. I'm going to try and go through in order and get the order right in my head. So we will start with Romance Dawn. Romance Dawn is a super short arc, but it does set a lot of the groundwork up. It's where we are first introduced to Luffy, to Shanks. This is also where we first meet Kobe, where we first meet Zoro. All of these fall into the Romance Dawn arc. Not too much happens, but it is a great setup and it teaches us straight away who Luffy is and who Luffy will always be. Like, he might grow a bit stronger, he might learn a few things just about, but his soul and his spirit doesn't change. This is where we learn so much about him. I always think of East Blue as a whole, so breaking it down into subsections is quite difficult. I think just because it is such a small arc, I'm going to put it at B for now. We can always go back and change this in a minute. After this though, we do have Orange Town, the introduction of Nami, introduction of Boogie. Super fun arc, because this is where we start to see Devil Fruit users and what they can really do. We get introduced to one of the funniest characters in all of One Piece. Yeah, this is where One Piece really starts to show its colours, which I love. So I'm going to put this, you know what we're going to do for now? We're going to start from the bottom up. We can shuffle stuff around. We'll move Romance Dawn down to C, and we'll put Orange Town at B, because it is a slightly better arc, just because there's more going on. We're learning more about One Piece, like Cho the dog, like learning about him and seeing that every character can have such a beautiful backstory, and Oda loves to just flesh out everything that's going on. We love it. We carry on. Syrup Village next. We've got the introduction of Usopp, Kaya, obviously. We've got the Black Cat Pirates. We've got Django. Some really fun things going on there. But Is the Boy Who Could Ride Wolf, which is a good story to retell, especially in such a fun way, being able to slip that in. We instantly have an understanding of who Usopp is. I did think the arc had a lot of just back and forth, and a lot of the plots. It was a good setup. It was a good setup for Usopp. What Syrup Village did well, things like Arlong Park did better a little bit sooner after. So let's put that down and see for now. I love East Blue. Let's not get it twisted. I love East Blue. But it was the groundwork. It was the prologue. As soon as they get to the Grand Line, that's when the series takes off. That's when the reins are off. They're free. They're running. Oda is just constantly sprinting. He's still accelerating. I feel like Wano was the first time that it was like, okay, we're not accelerating anymore. We are, like, obviously I've not read it yet, but from the outside in, it looks like Wano is like, we've hit peak. From now on, we're staying at peak. So next is Baratier, and let me tell you something. Love what Baratier brings to the overall story. We get a few darker themes in there. We get Sanji, who incredible character. Redfoot Zeph, this is where we hear our first rumours of the Grand Line and stuff like that, and the All Blue and these mystical places that could be out there. This is where we first start to really hear about it all. We get some incredible fights. This is where Oda refines his combat style and stuff like that, having the individual fights going on and how people can use their powers and their abilities to overcome certain things. So this one, I would say as well, is a B. After Baratier, it comes to the climax of the East Blue Saga, Arlong Park, and I've not released my One Piece video that I've been claiming for over a year, but best believe I do a full breakdown of Arlong Park, and it is incredible. I break down why this is the antithesis of what One Piece will go on to become. It had beautiful depth in characters. Character design was at its peak. Visual storytelling. Emotional writing. Sick combat. Like when Luffy brings down Arlong Park on top of his head. Chef's kiss. What a play. We get the full team working in unison. Well, most of the full team. Nami is not working in unison in that arc, but we found out why, and it was heartbreaking and it was gut-wrenching, and it fleshed out the world more. We've got fishmen now. Like, this is where we start to learn. It's like, it's not just people with crazy powers, it's also, you know, there's other races out there. Things are going crazy. Like, we've heard rumors of the All Blue and like these underwater islands and stuff like that, and then Fishman Island is first mentioned. We hear for the first time about Djembe and stuff like that. I'm not sure if this is where we first hear about the warlords of the sea. It is obviously because we have Dracul Mihawk was in Brassier, so we already know about these. So it's starting to like piece things together in the mythos. Such good art. It's amazing. I'm gonna put it at A. It's the best part of East Blue. Nice little ribbon on top. So then we have Logetown, really short story, reintroduce a lot of things like Boogie and Alvera, introduction of Dragon, but at that time we don't know who he is. He's just like this mysterious figure who seems to be looking over Luffy once he sees him. Is this where we meet? This is where we meet Ace for the first time? No, that's on the Grand Line, isn't it? Yes, that's when we're on the way to Alabasta. Yeah, it's a really, really quick arc. I think the only reason that it's on here as its own arc specifically is because of the anime. They flesh out in the anime a lot more, but we do find out a lot more about Goldie Roger. So yeah, good arc. Let's do C for now. Let's do C. After this is obviously Reverse Mountain. I'm assuming they included all the bits with Laboon and stuff in there as well. It's not the best arc, but Laboon instantly becomes a really well-loved character, and Reverse Mountain is better in context of Thriller Bark. So let's put that down there and see as well, because there's not too much happening, but it's where the adventure like sets off for real. So we've got to give it some respect for that. So straight after that, we will go to Whiskey Peak. I believe there's nothing before that. Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, and then Drum Island, then Alabasta, if I'm not mistaken. So, Whiskey Peak, we get the rumblings. We get the rumblings of Baroque works. Like, we start to figure out, ooh, this band of mercenaries. And we get the revelation that Miss Wednesday, I think it is. Vivi, is that Miss Wednesday? She is not who she seems. She is not a member of Baroque Works. She's going undercover to try and take them down from the inside from this mysterious Mr. Zero. We get some cool fights in this. We do get Luffy and Zoro facing off for the first time, and we see how strong they are, especially Zoro, because he wipes out all the Baroque Works by himself, which we hear sneakily. He did that before we even met him, like years, well, not years ago, but before the main story even started. He had already taken out Mr. 7? Mr. 8? The guy that we see in the live action anyway, that was told to us by Oda some other time. Luffy versus Zoro, they are so strong that when they are fighting each other, they are able to wipe out all of Baroque Works in the background without even thinking about it. So there's some pretty cool stuff in there. It's pretty funny as well. Is it better than these? It is. I don't think it's quite... it's probably just as good as Zoro Town and Brassier. Yeah, I'll go with that. Okay, after that, we go to Little Garden. I think Little Garden was the last thing that I watched in the anime. We get the mention of Elspeth. I keep saying Elspeth. That's as a magic character. We get the first mention of Elbath, the land of the giants. We meet 2 giants who have been warring for years. Do we ever find out why? They say that they've forgotten. It's been that long that even they've forgotten. But we have the group split in 2. Get the introduction of more Baroque Works members. We get some really cool fights. Mr. 3 is introduced. Also, we see like our characters just progressing, like they're constantly getting stronger all the time, and then like Sanji and Zoro are just able to take out dinosaurs and stuff at a moment's notice. I really like the giants in this. I think they're really fun characters. I really like the arc. I'm going to put that at a high B. I don't think it's as good as Arlong. Is it as good as Arlong Park? Pretty climb out there, pretty fun. We do have Zoro just willing to commit Sudoku via his legs, just to, yeah. You know what? Just because we need to go up from here, we'll leave it at B. So while we're on Little Garden, Nami gets ill, and that's why we need to go find ourselves a doctor, and that's how we end up on Drum Island. And this is where we find out as well that all of the islands have different seasons because of the magnetic field of the Grand Line and stuff like this. Again, more incredible world building. So we get to Drum Island. We meet another Zoan type, or is it the first Zoan type devil fruit user with the bull guy. It's another country in conflict. It feels like we're building up, we're setting the stones. It's like we're getting a little taste of what is going to build up into Alabasta. So all these arcs are like getting more and more important. And of course, introduction to Tony Chonin Chopper trying to hide himself around the door. Our guy, he's so cute. We love Chopper. We find out about his harrowing backstory as well. One Pull is a bit of a naff villain character. He's good and he's funny, but he's not like villainous as such. He's more of just an oaf, and we end up encountering him. But we do get that incredible moment as well where Luffy refuses to put the flag down. You know what I mean? And he's holding Chopper's like cherry blossom flag. Yeah, I do like Drum Island. Where are we going to put it? The introduction of Chopper. We love Chopper so much. Is it better than Little Garden? Yeah, it's so cool. The whole climbing up the mountain and stuff like that, and the different creatures on there and stuff. Well, we'll go, not an S. We'll go A. We'll go A for the introduction of Chopper. We love him. This then takes us straight into Alabasta, which, for the longest time, I was praising this as one of my favorite arcs because I loved what they did. I loved what they introduced with Vivi. The conflict, the civil war, the depth of storytelling I thought in that arc was great. We get the full unveiling of Baroque Works, Crocodile, the more elite members. We have obviously multiple showdowns with them. We have Luffy having to learn and actually think tactically about how to fight. We see his morals again when he's helping the guy in the desert dig out for the well and stuff. It's a country in conflict that we've obviously had these like little bits told to us about Vivi, but then it's fleshed out like the rebels fighting against this, and it's all been settled by Crocodile in the shadows. We have Crocodile's cool casino lair and stuff like that, like paying homage to like classic movie villains and stuff. We see, like, for the first time, like, the team working together so well with the new members of Chopper as well, seeing all his different forms. And we see Baroque Works, like, upper 5 members going off against the Straw Hats. The introduction of Nico Robin, Miss All Sunday as she was at the time. Like, this mysterious character working in the background, and, like, we can tell instantly she has a troubled past from the encounter with Cobra and Crocodile and Luffy, and we get mention of the poneglyphs and stuff like that. Like the world is just exploding and expanding, and then we get like sort of, obviously it was written before the Dark Knight, but it was sort of like a Dark Knight ending with Hell. Is it Hell, the bird guy? And you know, like That's the thing, like, we've got this ticking timer all the time with this bomb in this clock tower about to go off. Like, the stakes were so high. I was like, my anxiety was up here. I was all over the place. I read this when I was on holiday, and just like, oh, I loved it. I loved this story. It was like, that was when, for me, One Piece, that it was fully actualized. It was fully actualized, and it was like, this is the framework of how arcs are going to build and grow in future arcs. So, Alabasta, after all that gushing, it's got to be. It used to be an S+, until I've read more, and now it's an S. Okay. Crocodile, great character, great film. The ending of Alabasta with VB giving that speech, I was sobbing. I was gone. They hold their hands up and they've all got the cross. Oh, love it. Love it. So then that's when Nico Robin joins the group. I'm pretty sure it's Long Ring, because it's before. No, so I was totally wrong. So Long Ring is after Skypiea, before Water 7, because that's where we get introduced to Kojima? The Ice Guy, the Ice Admiral. Okay, so we're doing Jaya and Skypiea next. Jaya, I'll be honest with you, wasn't feeling it. Obviously, I liked the introduction of Teach. Was this where we saw Ace again? And he gave them the piece of paper? That might have been a different arc. But Jaya wasn't doing it for me. The monkey guys and the kind of liked the storybook aspect of it, but it just felt like a bit of a drag, unnecessary. I wasn't clicking with the characters. I just kind of wanted to get to the Sky Island, or wanted to get to Skypiea because they were rumoring it for so long. I think for me that is one of the worst arcs. I was the one that actively, like, it felt like a slog to get through. Right? It wasn't even that long. It was just like that. Maybe take a little break from One Piece. I was like, right, I want to read all this stuff anyway. Not feeling this arc right now, so I'm just gonna leave it to one side for a bit, go read something else, and then come back to it fresh. After that, I had Skypiea. Again, Skypiea, I wasn't feeling it quite as much until we got introduced to the different factions a little bit more. We learned sort of about the history of Skypiea, and stuff like that. And we saw the spirit of the ship and stuff like that, and like the cool waterways and stuff. And once we started to explore Skypiea more, I started to get more and more interested in it. And then obviously we get introduced to Enel, and we get like a big huge fight, and that was really cool as well. So it did ramp up, and I did think it got better and better as it went on. For me, that final fight was pretty cool, and the lore surrounding it, all the Joy Boy stuff. Is it an A for fleshing out the world? Yeah, let's go with it. Okay, so after Skypiea, that's when we get to Long Ring, Longland. It's not exactly a tournament arc, it's more like a games arc. It felt like just like a quick little pause, reset, carry on. The only thing that was impactful about it was the way they ended at the Ice Admiral Aokiji. Is that the one? The Ice Admiral guy. So many names to remember. He shows up and we learn a bit about Robin's backstory. That's when that starts to get interesting. The arc itself, though, I'm moving romance door up now. So this is what I said that might happen. So we're gonna shuffle some stuff around. It's better than the other arcs on that tier. It's Luffy and Shanks. It's Luffy and Shanks' bond. He gives them the hat, and we all cry, and it's great. So then we get to Water 7. Water 7, they're like rumblings are going on. Something's happening with Nico Robin. Like, we're learning about like Cypher Pole, and we're learning about like the shipwrights, and we're getting introduced to Frankie. Like, there's so many cogs turning. It's an interesting world, and we're seeing a bit more of like the marine influence and stuff like that. And this also includes the train line as well. Like, that's such a cool arc as well. That would fall into it, because that's on the way to Enies Lobby. There's nothing in between on here. Yeah, on here there's nothing between Water 7 and Enies Lobby. Well, Water 7, isn't that the name of the train in the end? It's not the town itself, is it? Either way, that we have like this living, thriving ecosystem. It's clearly based off Venice, but like in in this One Piece way, you know what I mean? Like, the environment's cool, the characters are cool, we get introduced to new characters, like, it fleshes out the world government, that sort of thing a lot more, and yeah, really liked this arc, especially the way it ramped up, and like the chase to get to the train, and then the train riding along the surface of the water and stuff like that. We got Frankie's crew essentially, haven't we? With the giant like seahorse things chasing after him and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's a chase, it's an adventure, it's a cool fight under siege. Steven Seagal's only good movie. Well, Machete is good, but that's not his movie, let's face it. So yeah, Water 7 is a great build-up into what is a fantastic arc. So we'll put that at A as well. A? Do we put it at S? We'll bump that up to S. We'll bump it up to S because I did really enjoy that arc. Like, I was turning the pages all the time. We get more stuff with Gold Roger and his ship and Big Tom. Oh, yeah, so much good stuff. Enies Lobby after this, though. All my friends told me, going into it, Enies Lobby is incredible. It's gonna change. Like, at this point, I was still saying Alabasta best arc. You can't beat it. I was saying it's probably always gonna be one of my favorite arcs. It is because of the emotional connection to it. But Enies Lobby, oh my days! Like, it's so intense. Like, we are in the heart of the Marines. We are at the last checkpoint, the courthouse of the Marines, before you are sent to Impel Down or you get to Marineford. Like, we learn more about the government structure and how it is so warped and corrupt and just all-encompassing of the planet that, like, someone like Nico Robin, who did nothing wrong, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, she was literally just trying to educate herself, which, like, it touched on so many real-world themes, like things through history and stuff like that, book burning sort of things like that, like the denial of information to oppress different cultures and stuff like that. The moments with our mom, oh my god, the big giant as well, the big giant. Who was that? Was that Jaguar the giant? Was that the one in that? Yeah, Nico Robin's backstory, incredible. We get the big crescendo into I want to live. Like, after pushing the Straw Hats away and they just refuse it. Oh, I forgot, in these two arcs as well, we have the big falling out between Usopp and Luffy as well about the Golden Mary, because she's getting damaged, and then at the end of Enies Lobby, she sails herself to save them all after Luffy's big fight with Rob Lucci. Oh my god, it was crazy, and the water splashes and it looks like the ship's crying. And it was so good. Okay, like, S+ tier. Round of applause for Enies Lobby. Absolutely nailed it. Post Enies Lobby, reintroduction of Kobe and Helmeppo. Frankie joins the crew. Monkey D. Garp, this isn't the first time we see it, but it's the first time that it's like crazy being spoken about. We found out that, like, about everyone's like Luffy's lineage. We find out about Monkey D. Garp being his grandfather. We find out about Monkey D. Dragon. Between these two arcs, the final send off of the Going Merry, we get the Thousand Sunny. It's a nice fresh palate cleanser. Level the playing field again. We see the new bounties before we go into the future arcs. This felt like a turning point. You know what I mean? It felt like how the post-war after Marineford feels. This felt like a soft version of this. Like, it felt like from this point on, things aren't going to be the same. We're about to start skyrocketing, and like, we're still on a slope, still on an incline. But this was sort of like a plateau before, like, just catch your breath before we go into Thriller Bark. So let's say post Enies Lobby, B. Great world building, great reintroduction of characters. Yeah. Thriller Bark. Okay, again, this one took a while for me to get my teeth into. thought this, like, obviously we meet Brooke right away, and I really liked Brooke, and I had obviously seen things of Brooke before through being in the One Piece sphere and stuff like that. Once we first get to the island, though, went a little bit slow for a couple of chapters until the rest of the gang get back involved, and as soon as, like, Gecko Moria comes into play, that's when it starts to take off, and then we have some really cool concepts like separating the shadow of the soul away from it, and Luffy gets, like, buffed by all the souls, and Gecko Moria feels like this overwhelming presence that we're never going to be able to be, and somehow we manage to find a way. We get Oz the giant, who has Luffy's spirit inside of him, stuff like that. It builds up and builds up and builds up, and, like, again, we're facing another warlord of the sea. Each time we keep getting stronger. Where do we want to put Thriller Bark? The reveal with the Laboon, stunning. I was sobbing reading that. Like, we get the lyrics Binks no Sake from Thriller Bark. Once I started reading it again, like, once we got into the castle on Gecko Moria, I did not stop reading until I got to the post-war arc, which I'm on now. Return to Sabaody. So the last thing that I read, we just dove under the sea to go to Fishman Island. So from this to this, I couldn't stop turning pages. I couldn't stop reading. Thriller Bark, we'll give an A. Okay, so at this point, then we go to the Sabaody archipelago. We re-meet Hitachi, we go around the island, we find out about coating the ship, we need to get over to Fishman Island. We get rumours of stuff happening to Ace, the slave trade, the introduction of Gold Roger's first mate. What's his name? The introduction of Rayleigh, and the introduction of Haki, and the Celestial Dragons. There's some, like, really cool concepts that take place here, and then Bartholomew Kuma, who we had teased during, we've had him teased multiple times with the Warlords, but now with Thriller Bark, we had him appear, and, like, everyone went missing and stuff like that. Well, Perona went missing, and, well, we knew that shit was going to go down. Oh, the end of Thriller Bark with Zoro, nothing happened. One Piece is so good, man. So Sabaody, like, really, like, for what could have been quite a flat, like, reset arc again, it ramped up. I think the world building of Sabaody is incredible. Do you put it in an S tier though? I'm gonna say no, not yet. Okay, so at the end of that, obviously the crew gets scattered. They are thrown to the wind, and then we are solely following Luffy for a while. He goes to Amazon Lily, that's where he's found, and we get the introduction of Boa Hancock. God bless. I said this in the pack opening the other day. We love Boa Hancock. She's gorgeous. She is queen. She kicks animals up. And we've got to knock her down a peg or two for that. We cannot stand for animal abuse, especially not cute dogs, cats. Okay? It feels like a reset. It felt like just a way of having a bit of comic relief before going into such heavy arcs. Amazon Lily. Is Boa enough? Is she enough for this? No. Go and be. This is where we go straight into Impel Down. Boa smuggles Luffy into Impel Down to save. We're full force, full driving factor now. We need to go save Ace. We've just found out that he's about to be executed. Impel Down. It was a wild ride. It is breakneck pace. It is so up and down. Like, it does get a little bit confusing, but all you know is, like, there's this impending doom. We need to get this done. We are in one of the most dangerous places on the planet. Luffy's just gotta go, gotta keep fighting, gotta keep going. It's a pressure pot. Everything is building and building and building, and you can feel it. You can feel it by the end of the arc. It's just ready to erupt. When we finally get there, and Ace is gone, but we find Emporio Ivankov. We get the backstory of the Revolutionary Army. We've re-meet Crocodile again. We've already had Buggy reintroduced again in the best way. This is where Buggy becomes final form Buggy. Mr. 3 as well. Mr. 2 Bon Clay becomes our savior. Impel Down was stunning. It's easily an S tier. It's such a fun ride. I would have liked to see some of the Straw Hats there for it. Like, these are such important moments for Luffy. Obviously, I've not seen, like, they've only just got back together. I want to see how they tackle that together. The fact that the crew weren't there for probably the biggest moment of Luffy's life so far. The idea to sort of sideline the Straw Hats for a while and have this comic relief crew of like all like crazy devil fruit users and like this crazy place was an interesting take. Kind of wish that we could have had like the rest of the team there just for their emotional standpoint. Like, I feel like it would have hit so much differently if it was Zoro and Nami, Sanji, Usopp, Frankie Chop and Nico Robin like stood at Marineford, Aces on the execution platform, ready to, like, they are leading this vanguard with the Whitebeard Pirates and stuff like that. I think that would have been such an emotional... Would it have felt too much like a finale? Although this is the finale for the first half of One Piece, essentially, before the New World. Like, the New World is like New Game Plus, you know what I mean? So, Impel, interesting choice to do that. I've already started talking about Marineford. Marineford... Wow, what an arc. Like, it is the best action stuff that we've seen in One Piece up to this point. Oda loves to put just a ticking clock in the background. Chekhov's gun at all times. Is it Chekhov's gun that I'm thinking of? The literary thing where you put a bomb under the table and the two characters don't know that there's a bomb under the table ticking down, but the audience knows, and it like adds extra pressure to everything. Like, with like the back of our head is ticking away, it's ticking away, it's ticking away. We know something crazy is about to go down. Something explosive, quite literally, is about to go down. We get to see Whitebeard in all his glory at this point. We see Luffy just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. He's pushing himself to the brink to save Ace. This is where, like, we've seen that they're related, but we haven't seen anything of the relationship. This is where we learn so much about their relationship, what Luffy and Ace would do for each other, what Ace has been through, who his daddy is, the fact that Ace is the son of Gold Roger. Like, Marineford, while I'm still talking about it, it's an S+. It is so incredibly good. We see the three admirals facing off. We see such incredible use of devil fruits. This is where the power system is literally on full display. We learn everything. We have rumors of haki. We have people using it and we can't figure out how or why. Whitebeard Pirates, like Edward Newgate, when he's using his powers and stuff like that, and then Teach and the Blackbeard Pirates, I didn't even mention them in Impel Down, they come back in. We've got the Seven Warlords there. It is just, is ramping up and ramping up. We've got Sengoku there as well. Like, he just exudes a presence over the entire situation as well. Yeah, it is the paramount war. It is the pinnacle of war in the One Piece world at this point. You can't say anything else. Post-war, this is where Luffy goes to do his training. Obviously, we just had the heartbreak of the death of the Ace. We have our crew still scattered. They all figure out what the plan is, and then we get just this gorgeous breakaway before we restart the series of seeing more of Luffy's history. Like, he is sort of like not fully explained to us, like Luffy is just Luffy, but this arc helps to inform how Luffy is now, his relationship with Ace, why it meant so much. Also, like, Ace dying is like the first real death I think that we get in the series, like the first one that means this much. So seeing how Luffy reacts to this, because Luffy has always had a smile on his face, he's always, I know he's made of rubber, he's always bounced back. How does he bounce back from this? Because this has just broken his will. Like, we saw his last moment after he died, he just let out this outburst of haki, finished the war essentially, or led to the finishing of the war by Edward Newgate and stuff, and then just crack. We saw what happens when he pushes himself to his limit, emotionally and physically, and he just snaps and he becomes comatose because he cannot cope with it in this moment. And it's how Luffy rebuilds. It's how his past informs his future. This arc was crazy. Like, just gut-wrenching, and meeting Sabo, and we know that he's being led up to something. We have scenes with the Revolutionary Army. We see how Shanks is reintroduced and how he deals with the fallout of the Paramount War and the death of an Edward Newgate. I think emotionally for me, I want to put it at ST, but I think it's an S. I think it's an S. And then return to Sabaody. We get the gang come back together. Short little conflict. We get the knockoff Straw Hats, which is a funny comic relief. It's a palate cleanser. It's a sigh of relief after everything that we've just been through. It's an emotional reset for us as well. Feels like coming home with the Straw Hats. Good arc, not too much happens in it though, so I think it's got to be B. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, like I feel overwhelmed with emotion right now, like talking about all of One Piece to this point so far. Like, it's crazy what a journey I've been on just reading this. I'm only like 60 something% of the way through the entire thing. It's crazy. It's a story that means more once you read it. Like, you don't realize how good it is. Everybody tells you don't realize how good it is until you're here. And I actually heard a quote earlier, which was, it's too many episodes or too many chapters until it's not enough. And now that I'm past the halfway line, for me to catch up, obviously it's not finished yet, but for me to catch up, there is more behind me than there is in front of me, and that's not okay. I want this series to never end. Obviously, it has to at some point. I don't want it to just go until it's run into the ground, but we will never have enough time with the Straw Hats. Right, well, after that, before I get myself too depressed over it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Show me what your rankings would be. Either leave it in the comments or tweet or go to my Instagram, ChrisCapturesYT, and show me what your tier list would have been. Send it me in the message, tag me in posts, whatever you want to do. This is mine for now. If you want to do your full rankings, if you're fully up to date, do that, please. Or if you just want to do the same arcs that I've done, do it up until the beginning of the New World. Be my guest. Thank you very much. This has been a super long recording. Hopefully I managed to cut it down a bit. And I will see you guys in another video this September, because we are going to be cranking out videos.